Hey there, my name's Dan.
I'm Maria.
And we're married.
And we're worship leaders.
We've been leading worship together for over 10 years, which is kind of a long time.
It's a really long time.
It's a pretty long time. So we feel like God has called us to bring people together to experience the love of Christ. That's the mission statement that he kind of gave to us.
Yeah, we can do that through leading worship, creating songs and music.
And through teaching. And that's kind of what these videos is all about, are all about, sharing some of our heart and kind of what we've been through and some things that we've learned along the way. So today, we want to talk about...
Why do we worship?
Why do we worship?
So before we can talk about how we worship, we feel it's important to talk about why do we worship? What is the point of all this? You know, is it something that we've just made up all over the years? Mm-hmm. Or is it something that is a thing that we should be doing, and why are we doing it?
Yeah. So before we start, I want to talk about where we're from. So we're from the northeastern part of the U.S. And so in the wintertime, I don't know if you know this, it snows a lot and it tends to get really cold. And so as a result of that, there isn't much to do. You can go skiing, you can try to drive your car into a ditch, which we've all done, or you can stay inside and watch sports. And the biggest sport, at least where we're from, is football. Football is huge, especially professional NFL football. So a lot of Bills fans, a lot of Patriots fans where we're from, a lot of Eagles fans. And
Giants
fans, for sure. My dad's a big Giants fan, so
yeah.
He would be really upset if I left him out. People become very interested in watching football, and so interested that sometimes how their week goes is determined by the result of the game on Sunday. Where like it takes till Wednesday to get over it if their team lost. That's a fairly common thing, I think.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read a scripture about that.
I'm going to read a scripture, Psalms 96:4. And it says, "For great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the peoples are worthless idols, but the Lord made the heaven."
So worship is not a matter of if, I believe, but who. I believe that we are wired to worship, that we will naturally, just out of being who we are, begin to worship different things. I use that word worship, and sometimes we may think that's kind of weird, like do people really worship other things besides God? But if you start thinking about how much things affect your life, mm-hmm. that word is pretty appropriate.
Yeah, I think that we are wired to worship, and so it could be anything that you worship, whether it is sports, whether it's, you know, maybe you really love singing, or you really love, you know, shopping, or
social media, food, clothes, money. There's lots of stuff.
There's lots of things that we're passionate about. What we worship, we rely on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the thing that we're worshiping starts to be the thing that defines how our life is going, how we feel like, how happy we are, how much peace we have, how fulfilled we are. Maybe it's your job, and your job isn't going well, my whole life is a wreck. And, you know, the problem is everything that we worship that isn't God is called an idol. That's what Psalm 96 talks about, how all the other gods of the peoples are worthless idols. Not just idols, but worthless idols. In other words, they have no ability to bring fulfillment. They will eventually fail us. And when we read about idols in the Bible, we think it's, you know, maybe statues in faraway countries, maybe things that used to happen but don't happen anymore. Maybe you think of Ryan Seacrest.
Bad joke.
It's old. Yeah, okay. The truth is, an idol is anything we worship that isn't God. So a lot of things can become an idol, whether it's like we talked about, sports or your job or money or clothes, or you know, maybe the people, friends, maybe your boyfriend or your girlfriend. That can become something that fills your entire life, and we begin to rely on that thing.
There is one thing that is the greatest idol of Western civilization, and that is self.
Absolutely.
Like every other idol, it is worthless and it will let you down. Self is where we can see these results every day, where we'll have dissatisfaction, unhappiness, we're searching for more.
Yeah, because we're relying on ourselves to bring those things. Like if I'm good enough, if I'm smart enough, if I do well enough, if I can be who I want to be, if I can be like my hero, if I can, you know, find success, then I find satisfaction and happiness. But it doesn't work, because all idols are worthless. Therefore, all idols let us down, and we end up feeling dissatisfied.
And so that is the true power of worship.
Yeah.
It helps us to change our focus off of ourselves and to put them on God.
Yeah.
He is the reliable one. He brings us hope, fulfillment, and happiness, right? He is worthy of worship, and that is why we lead people to Him. Like, we want people's focus to not be on self, to not be on the week that they had, or maybe the month or the year that they had, but instead it can be on God. And that is why we worship. We worship so that we can bring praise and glory to Him, but then also in return, He fills us up. He brings fulfillment. He brings joy, happiness. He fills that void that you have been feeling. And when we're able as worship leaders to bring people to that level that maybe they haven't been able to get to, then that is why we worship. We worship, we lead others in worship because we want them to experience that love that God has for them, to feel that fulfillment. I think that it's something that is so powerful when we shift our worship off of other things, off of ourselves, and put our worship onto God. Our lives change forever.
Other things you've been looking for, maybe in other areas, things that maybe you get temporarily from other areas, we find permanently in God. And so that's why we worship. So that we can, because first of all, we were made to, we were wired to, but also that's the place, when we're doing what we're made to do, that's where we're the most happy and the most fulfilled. And in the end, our directing that worship toward God is the best place to put it, and brings us the longest lasting and the most permanent, peace and joy and just rest, and just that, away from stress, away from worry, away from that depression, away from all those things that can kind of bring us down. We start to rely on some other things besides God.
I mean, just shifting that change, your attention, from all those things really does bring a difference in your life, in your day, in your week, and it's something that is life-changing and is just wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, if you have any questions about that or anything that maybe you want to comment on, feel free to leave a comment. We will definitely read all of those. And if you have any ideas for videos that you'd like us to do, leave those in the comments as well.
Yeah, you can look for us on social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we look forward to hearing from you, receiving your comments.
All right.
Hope you have a great week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.